Hello and welcome back to the channel where we are building a video game from scratch using Love2d and Lua. So we're working on our dialogue system for our signposts here. So we've got some test text rendering here, but we're actually trying to render hello, is this on? This is a test line 2, this is a test line 3. So we're trying to give it a whole string, however long we want, and then we want to be able to parse it up into line by line, page by page, so that it prints as expected. So yeah, I don't know, this is like the third or fourth day we're kind of working on this, and it's still not right. So we, have to, if we comment out the test reassignment, we can see what it actually spits out, and it's like a part of our strings, but it is screwing up the lines and screwing up. Yeah, it's just not right. So we're gonna have to maybe step through the logic here and kind of see what we're doing wrong, and then hopefully be able to get, any string passed in and then parsed out. So let's take it from the top here. Like we've got, this is all the logic for the, basically we need to go into each page we have, depending on, and this is a really tough part. It's like, depending on which words and text are given as the parameter text in here, that's going to determine how many pages there are, how many total pages. So it's like there's one page here. We start with one page and we put an empty table on each of the lines. So pages 1 is page 1, line 1, page 1, line 2. And then they all need a character count as well. And then we assign them to be an empty string in the string field here, and that at least allows us to be able to concatenate a character at a time to this string field, but it still isn't working. We've got, oh my gosh, this is going to be tough. We've got this while loop. I think what we're going to do is maybe just like scrap this and just retry it, because it's not right. So part of me thinks that we just need to do it again and just try to do it better. Now, I didn't get much thinking done on whether or not a for loop or a while loop or whatever would work better. So I don't exactly know. What are we doing down here? This is just a test string. Okay. Yeah, that shouldn't matter. Okay. Okay, so how do we go about this? We need to cycle through the text until we find a word, and then see if that current word added to our current line puts us over the limit. If it does, we need to append it to the next line and advance our current page. If it doesn't advance the line's limit, then we need to append it to the current line, and then continue on counting for another word. So I don't know what to try, but let's do a for loop, right? So like, I think what I want to try actually is say like, I'm gonna get a value called print this, and I'm just going to test some for loop logic and see if we can increment I as we go through, or what it looks like. So we're going to say for I gets 0. Let's just say for 3. And then the idea is what if we reassign I right here to be equal to 2? So we would say I gets 2, and then we want to say, also, why don't you go ahead and increment print this by 1, and then we'll actually print this so that we can see how that for loop is handling that. Because I really don't know how it'll handle that. I don't know if we can reassign the initialized variable in a for loop in the body and then have it still execute. I don't know, so that's why we're printing this up. So this is going to say print this, and then this is print this. Okay. So let's take a look. We've got print this, which is nil. Okay, so we need, we don't ever say, oh, we say local print this, so let's just do global print this. Then we should be able to use it. Okay, print this is 4. Okay, so it went through 4, which, yeah, oh, and you know what? Yeah, because if we say, for I gets 1, 3, this for loop should run 3 times, but what's running 3 times is we're actually changing the I value to be the equal to the limit. So let's see what print this becomes here. Still 3, so it runs 3 regardless. So it's almost like, yeah. So this is why our first for loop attempt didn't work, is because we were trying to say, oh, well, let's just change our current index and reassign it to something else. That way on the next for loop, the I is something else, but that's not how it's working. So we need to either break the for loop and then go through it again until we find the next word, or come up with a different way to go about this. So it's a little tough because if we, let's say we're cycling through the characters, we find a word, then we find the end of that word, we can fairly easily just take that word we found and insert it into the result string on the current line we're at. But what we can't so easily do is remove that word from the string, from the self.text field, so that we can break from the for loop and maybe redo it, or I don't know. Yeah, the while loop. I think we do have to do a while loop. So let's try this with a while loop, and we'll see if we can come up with something. So it's like if we say while we have characters to check, the thing we're going to do is say print this is going to be incremented. We have to be careful with the while loop because we can crash our game just by getting stuck in it. So we have to be able to say, if we increment or print this value, then we can say, well, if print this is greater than 2, then go ahead and break. And then print this should be 3, and we should break from our while loop. Okay, print this is 3, and we broke from the while loop. We know because it didn't get caught. So if we go through while loop, as long as we have a break condition, we should be able to get out of it. Now that is what we tried to do yesterday. It didn't work, but basically the idea here would be we have a pointer to whatever character index of our .text field is, and we have that pointer, and we increment it till we find the beginning of a word, then we find the end of that word, we take the whole word and its length and say if we append that word to the current pages .line field, does it go past our 19 character line limit? If it doesn't, append it to the current string. If it does, put it on the next line. and or next page. And then the other thing is, at that point, we would say, okay, well, our pointer to our text character is still at the first character of the word we've already inserted. So now we need to move that pointer forward. So now instead of checking whatever pointer it was at, we need to modify it by however long the word is that we just found, and then start checking character values again. So let's do that, where what we're going to do, text index is the value I was using. So it's like, let's get rid of this, and we'll say, you know, text index is here. So maybe we'll say the first thing we do while we have characters to check, we're going to increment our text index so that we can check the next index, right? So text index, and we can either do this at the very beginning or the very end, depending on where we initialize it, but we've got it initialized to 0. So what we're going to do is increment it at the beginning. So it's like, boom, give me a text index of 1 on the first pass. Okay, then we need to extract that character. So we're going to say, we're going to extract that character from the text field, and it's a substring of the only character from our text index. Okay, so we've got a char now, and then we can do this, you know, if we're not char, match with a space character. Okay, so if we find a value that's not a space, we're going to count that as a word, like the start of a word. So if it's the start of a word, then now we need a word character index. So I'm going to call this word character index. And we're going to say, you know, while the character we're at, while our text index character does not equal a space, what we're going to do is count how many characters are in the word. So if not character match, and we might want a while loop here too, but let's see, if the character doesn't match that, then we want to go ahead and say word character index gets itself +1, so word character index +1. And what that'll do is on the first pass, let's say the test string is ABC. A, you know, there are characters to check. We're on A. Text index becomes 1, which would be A. We extract just the A. If the A is not a space, then we're going to increment word character index up to 1. And it's not that we want the word character index, it's that we want the word count. So where is our word count variable? Word character count. So word char count, we're going to say word char count gets 0. So what we're going to do here is take our word char count, and we're going to set it equal to, you know, just increment by 1. And then, you know, if let's see this. So first character would be A. A is not a space. Therefore, our word char count is at least 1. So it's not until this else becomes true that we have found another space. But we also have to take into account if we give a string called hi it doesn't end with a space. So we need to be able to trigger the end of the text. Yeah. Let's keep walking it through. So if it is a space, then what we're going to do is say, you know, I'm going to say check if word can fit on current line. And then the other thing is, or it would be increment line or increment page. Okay, so how do we trigger the end if we just have a string that says hi? How do we tell our while loop to exit? So we need to be able to say, you know, we need to be able to say if our text index is greater than our text length, then break, because we've got all of them. So if our text index is greater than or equal to our text length, right? Is greater than or equal to our self.text length, however many characters are in our text. Yeah, if we're at all of our words, then we're gonna break. So let's see what happens. We don't do anything to the result field, so we won't see anything. So yeah, at the end of the day, I think what I want to do, what I'm going to manually do here is just to test this. So I'm going to say pages at index 1 dot string. So the first page, first line is going to get a string of whatever our self dot text is. So just, you know, we're not actually doing any of the chopping or parsing. All we're doing is saying, take the self text, put it in this string, and let me see it. Because I just want to make sure. Yeah, cool. So it does seem to pull that. So now we just need to populate this string on a line-by-line basis, you know, based on this. So we know our while loop correctly exits once we've reached the end of our text input. So let's keep walking it through. You know, we've got our text index. We're checking one character at a time. If it's not a space, we're going to count the word. Yeah, count how many chars are in the word. And then else, yeah, we need to do a couple things. We need to see if it fits on the current line, or if we need to go to the next line, or if we need to go to the next page in first line. So let's make sure, yeah, okay, so we do have a page, a table at page 1, and that table allows us to insert 3 empty tables into each line position placeholder, and then our character count, which we'll need probably, and then empty string. Okay, so let's see. Let's, for right now, yeah, if word can fit on the current line. So for that, it gets tough. It gets tough quick. So we have to have the line character count, right? So we have a line character index. Let's give us a line character count. And basically, anytime we're in a line and we add a character, let's see, because we would need to do, basically what we're trying to say is say if the number we're at, right? So if the, how do we check this? I guess it would be... Hey, thank you for the follow, Call Cage. Thank you, thank you. Oh, hey, we just hit a new goal. Hey, thank you for that. 180. That's huge. Hey, thank you. That's awesome. Welcome in. Yeah, so this is going to be check if word can fit on the current line. Now, we can know if it can fit on the current line by counting how many characters we've put on the line so far, and then add the word character count for the word we haven't yet added. And then I guess this does get tricky, because it's right here we haven't, you know, we don't want to blindly just count the character for the line until we've added either it to the current line or the next line. So this is like, yeah, because it's at this step in the process that we want to basically add the line character count. So right now, line character count is 0. Now, if the line character count plus the word char count is less than the limit, which is 19. I guess we'll do this. Say 19 like this. Yeah, so if our line character count and our word character count is smaller than 19, that means the given word can fit on this line. So what we're going to do is say we're going to go into our pages table, and we're going to go into our current page, right? Current might be self.current page. Go into our current page and into our current line. Do we have a current line here? No. Okay. So we'll say that there is a line we are on, or page we are on. That's what we have. So not current page, but page we are on and line we are on. Okay, so we go into the page and the line we're at, and we're going to go into the string field, which starts as an empty string, and we're going to say it gets assigned to be itself, but concatenated with the whole new word we need to add. So in order to get the word, we have to do a little for loop for the word character count. However many characters there are in the word, we need to cycle through. And then this is tough because we need to get the right index. We know the starting index because we're on test index. Test index would be the text index would be the first character of our text. And then we're saying if it doesn't match with a space, we count. Okay. So this is a little wrong because we have to be able to do... It's almost like, you know, we need to be able to just save the index of the first character of the word. There's got to be a better way to do this. So I what I'm going to try to do is say, if we don't find a space, then if we're not in a word, is it not self dot in a word? Then we're going to snag our word index, or whatever we want to call it. So we're going to say, okay, well, we found a character and we weren't in a word, therefore we're going to snag the index of this word into our word index variable, and we do that by pulling the text index into our word index just like that, and then our self in a word becomes false. So we are no longer, actually, this shouldn't be in a word. This should be called, I don't know, if not word index grabbed. Then we would become word index grabbed true. So instead of word index, let's say that this is, word index grabbed. So it starts off as not grabbed. If we're not grabbed by the time we find a character, we take the index of that very first word's character into our word index, and we say we are now having grabbed our word index. So until we flush this word index grabbed back to false, we can't snag another word index. And then here, this is tough because this is like, we need to copy over a whole substring from the starting word index to the ending word index. So what we could do is concatenate itself with, and let's stub this out, like it should be a substring of our text. So we'll use the sub method, and then all we do is give it a starting index, which would be our word index. That's the starting character from that line. And then the second index is going to be a value that is the word index plus the word count, the word character count. Okay, so now we're appending a substring of the whole word to the string, I think. But what we are not doing is at that point, once we do that, we need to say, okay, well, our word index grabbed is now false so that we can grab another word by the time we loop through. Because the next time we loop through, we still have characters to check, so we're going to go increment that index, snag just the character, see if it's a space or a word. Okay. So let's see something here. If we don't do anything here, what happens to our text? There's nothing. So if we do have this, do we then get a word? Oh, hello, is this? Hello, is this? Hello, is this on? So we're not... I think what's going on here, if we were to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So 19 characters. I'm thinking if we take out one of these characters, it might pull correctly. No. Okay. So let's see. This should be if it is smaller than or equal to 19, it can fit. Okay, we're still getting this, and I don't know why. Let's see. Is this on? Why is this? Okay, capital this. It's got to be something to do with the word index. So we have our text index. And this gets incremented every character. This is just in our loop here. So our text index loops and gets bigger by 1. We snag that next index. We check what it is. We potentially grab the word index, assign it to be the index of that. Okay. So let's make sure the page we're on and line we're on is both 1, which it is. Then we are concatenating to the empty string the page line we're on with the word index starting point and the word index plus the word character count. Okay, so we have to reset our word character count also. So once we've added the word, our word character count goes back to 0 because we have to count a new word character count. So we'll say word character count gets 0. Let's see if we get the this. Is this? Okay, hello, is that right? Is a, yes. Is this? Okay. So let's see, we want 19 characters, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Okay, so that's 19. So we should be able to get, hello, is this thing on, with 2 question marks. Nice. Okay, now if this word, if putting one more character on this on word, that would put us over the 19 character limit, so therefore it wouldn't append this whole word to the current line. So it should just say hello is thing, hello is thing, and that's it. Hello is thing on. Okay, so it didn't do that. Let's check, because this is the word character count. Okay, so we need like a total or a line character count plus the current word. Okay, so we need to increment our line character count by the current line character count with the new word we just added. So we need to say that the line character count is gonna be incremented by the word character count, so that we take over. I'm looking for this to exclude the on question mark. It should say is this thing, or is thing, and that's it. Well, let's see. Hello, is thing on? Yeah, this is wrong. Okay. So line character count. We don't do anything with line character count other than this right here. And the character count for the line is going to be whatever the current line is plus the word we just added. Yes. Yeah, and we do that before we've flushed that. Okay, so I'm curious if we were to print up the line character count, what it would say. Line character count is nil. Let's make it not local. Actually, what we'll do is say that this is not a local, but a self-line character count. Okay. Line character count is not accounting for spaces. Yeah, I think you're right. Because, yeah, if it's, if we... Yeah, it's almost like we need it... Let's see what the value is. Let's see. Do this. I think you're right, though, yeah. I think that does sound right. So line character count is 18. So let's test. Okay, so we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see if that's a 5-line character count. No, 0. What did I change on here? Okay. Oh, because it has no spaces. It has no spaces. So if we were to give it a space, let's try. There's 1 space in there for what should be a total of 6. But yeah, it's not counting for spaces. So yeah, call cage, you got it. So we do need to put the account for spaces. So we need to say not only increment our line character count if we add a word, but also if we add a space. And why don't we just go ahead and say, well, and this would effectively add 1 to our line character count if there is a space. And then we would also add the whole words count to the line character count as well. Okay, so we've got 6 there. That looks right. Let's try to put a couple other spaces in there and see if it's still right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, plus our 5 numbers. That should give us a 10 of our line character count, which it is. Okay. It put a 1, 1, 1. Okay, I think that has to do with the first index of the word. Yeah. So we just need to do some stuff differently, because the thing is, if it is multiple spaces in a row, it's going to come in here and it's going to say, okay, well, since it is a match with a space, it is a space, we're going to come over here to our else. We're going to increment the line character count by 1. Then we're going to check if the current word character count plus our line character count is smaller than our threshold. Okay, so why would it be copying over the first index of the word? Well, first, whatever's getting appended here is, for whatever reason, just the first character. So the word index is what we're appending. And word index is only ever, we're not ever, we only change the word index if we haven't already grabbed a word index. So it's not that, it's that we do flush. Okay, well, we do flush our word index grabbed. I don't like this naming convention or word for it, but we basically just want to say, because then we'll say, okay, word index is not grabbed. Then it'll say, oh, we only grab a word index if it's not a space, if it's a character, which I guess makes sense. But then when it goes to append a space, it thinks it's the old word index. So if it is a space, we need our word index. I guess this is weird to think about, because word index needs to be the value for the first character if it is a word, but if it's a space, the word index needs to be, I guess, and then that's why the term word index doesn't make a lot of sense there, because then word index has to be a different value if it's counting a space. So maybe what we do, well, yeah, because this is to be adding a word, but we're not trying to add a word, we're trying to add a space. So we can say if the character that we're currently at is a space, then we're going to go ahead and append a space. So maybe what we can do, and then maybe here we say if we're not a space, not a space, go ahead and do this old stuff we used to do. If we are a space, we're just going to append one space character. All we're going to do is append the char to our current string. So all we should have to do is say .string ... concatenate with the char character. I think that's all we have to do. Oh, let's see. We're looking for just spaces, so like a 10 line character count. Okay, that's not right. Okay. So char is a local. Yeah, we should have access to that. Yeah, we should have access to that, so we should be able to ask these questions. This is asking if it's not a space. So if it is a character, or yeah, if the index is a character, we'd only ever do this stuff. So else is if it's a space. Like once we find a space, that's why this doesn't make sense, because we're saying if not a space, but it has to be a space. So if the character, okay, yeah, because there's two instances where we might have a space and we want to do something different, you know. One is if there's a space and it's just a spacer in between another word, we want to use the space as a signifier to end the current word we're counting. But then if there's a space, I mean, and the thing is, you know, I'm not planning on putting multiple spaces and stuff. I mean, I guess we probably should make sure it works so we don't get unwanted behavior. But let's see here. If we don't put these spaces and I just say then, okay, we're still not doing it. It doesn't do the repeated character, which is good, but we need to yeah, our word index has got to be wrong. So word index only ever gets set here, so we need to say by the time we add a word, we're going to take our word index and we're going to increment it by the word count, right? Or we just say well, let's see. Okay, that was just that. Yeah, it's only when we add the line. We want to then change the word index. Ay. We're still not there. I mean, we are getting closer. It just sucks, like, been working on it a couple days and still haven't got lines of text showing up, you know, so. Let's see. So word index gets assigned whenever we haven't grabbed a word index already. So word index becomes the index of our text field that we need to insert into our string. So once we insert that word, and the first word is working, then I think we need to be able to say, well, now it's not that we need to reset our word index, it's that our word index is no longer grabbed, so therefore the next time we find a character, we will snag that character as the word index in which to insert. So I'm looking for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then then, but that time, you know, our line character count was only 6. So that tells me it didn't even grab this. Yeah, Calcage, it's a big deal. Like, we could and we did use printf, which nicely wrapped at the limit, but the issue was we need a multi-page dialogue pagination, and there was no way I could think to know which character was being printed on which line using printf. So that was working, and that works fine for 3 lines. But if we need more than 3 lines, that's where it becomes hard, because depending on the size of the words, can affect the total character length or the total line output. So, like, you know, the same amount of characters could be 3 lines of dialogue, or it could be 4 or 5, depending on the spaces in the lines. So it became tough to kind of parse out and know how many characters could be rendered on one line at a time. And then there was another issue. Oh, as when we use printf, it prints one character at a time, and then once the word can't fit within that limit, it then moves it under to the next line. And I just didn't like how that looked. Like, if it was printing a big word and the last character would go off screen, it would print most of the word and then it would scoot it to the next line. So if we do it this way, that I'm kind of doing, if we parse out the lines ourselves, then we can say that's too big of a word to be printing on that first line. So go ahead and just assign it to line 2, because we know it doesn't fit on the first line, and then it won't print on the first line and then move. So that's the other case why we're trying to do it manually here. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure I should be doing it better. That's for sure. But we're still not getting the proper word index assigned. So we shouldn't mess with our text index. That's just part of our while loop. Now when we go to add a word, if it fits on the current line, which 11 characters would fit, 11 characters would fit. So if we give it our current string, it should just append here to the end, and it's using word index and word index plus word character count. Now we know this is working, at least on the first word, because we get the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's just that it doesn't snag the next line that isn't a space. So the next line we're at a space. You would think that all we need is the text index to become the new word index. We become grabbed, and then we become grabbed, so we don't grab another word index on another subsequent character find. And then we increment our line character count. See, I feel like we should do this not here. Well, yeah, like once, maybe right here. When we become word index grabbed false, we become able to grab a new word index, and that'll only happen if the character isn't a space. So the next time we find a non-space character, we should be snagging that word index, and that is what we're using to put in a substring that starts at the new word index and ends at the new word character count. Oh, so it might be that we're not ending with a space, because that case is still wrong. If we end with a space, it doesn't know that there's a word, because right now we're only counting words by finding a space. And so I think if we put a space at the end of our declaration here, it might snag those two numbers. Okay, it does. Cool. So we just need to be able to, we want to get rid of this. We want to be able to say if we reach the last character, then we need to go ahead and insert that word anyway. So let's take out that. We don't want to have to remember to put a space there. But in our signpost logic, this is entering a word once we find... Yeah, basically we want to do this. We want to do all of this stuff, I think, right here also. Okay, we get our two. Okay, so let's see if we cut off by putting in 19 or more characters here. So that is 11. There's 12. There's 17, 18, 19, and 20. So I'll put 20. Now it shouldn't put the 1, 2, 3. It shouldn't put any of the 1, 2, 3, because those would be off the line. Oh shit! It does put 1, and that's because it puts. Oh, okay. Yeah, that is an error on our part. Because now we're saying, okay, well, go ahead and append the whole word here. We don't want to do that. We don't want to append the whole word here. What we do want to do is... Yeah, we need a way to say... I don't know. I'll have to think about this, because this isn't the way to do it. This will fix it. Let's say that we need to say add word if string ends on character. We'll have to do this tomorrow, but at least we've got, the piece of it working. So if we end on a space, we'll be able to put in that 1, 2, 3, like so. And if we don't end on a space, it won't pull it. Yeah, it doesn't pull that 1, 2, 3. So we'll work on that tomorrow. For now, okay. Let's say that we are rehauling dialogue, printing for line at a time, for one line at a time. Okay, well, I'll be back tomorrow, and I will try to get some more stuff done on this front. I think we're coming up on maybe getting kind of close to somewhat finishing it. So, we'll see. We'll raid out to our boy Hypnotic here. And then, have a good night. Thanks for watching. I'll be back tomorrow.